Hello, tribal members. My name is Mitch Bolo, and here we are again with another candidate interview. We're here with Jacqueline Swartz from the Barriga District. Thank you so much for coming down today.
Oh, thank you for having me, Mitch.
Okay, so let me go over this first, and then we'll get started. There's a 60-minute time limit. You can use as much or as little as your time as you'd like. These are straight cut videos. We have 10-minute edit breaks because of this camera over here. No talking about other people, only ground rule. And with that being said, we can get into it. Can you please tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Buju Anishinabek. Nangigu Kwain Indigenous Cause. Makade Makwa Nundodam. Makwa Odinang Nundunjaba. For those of you who didn't understand it, I said my name is Jacqueline. I'm from the Keweenaw Bay Indian community. I am from Beartown. I originated in Beartown with my family. My parents are Marilyn and Chuck Loonsfoot. I have numerous uncles, aunts, brothers, sisters, nieces and nephews, and cousins. I married Chris Swartz 28 years ago, and together we raised 3 wonderful children, Brandon, Crystal, and Stuart. And a year and a half ago, we were blessed with our first grandson, Royce.
Royce.
Yes, Royce. He's pretty special, but I'm a little biased.
All grandmas are.
And I work for Johns Hopkins University. I'm a co-investigator to the O-Prevent project, which is an obesity prevention project that is being networked across the United States.
Wow.
I've been working with Johns Hopkins for the last 10 years. In between grants, I worked as the marketing director for the Ojibwa casinos. And I'm happy to say I was very successful when I worked with the marketing of the Ojibwa casinos, and I was able to save them $1 million+ a year.
Wow.
These are the kind of initiatives that I'd like to put forth as a member of the tribal council should I be elected this year.
Okay, so what is your history of tribal politics?
My dad got into politics when I was 13 years old.
Okay.
And he served on the council for the next 14 years. And then shortly after what I call the give-over of the Keweenaw Bay Indian Community's tribal senator, which I was a big part of, my husband ran for election. And he's been on the tribal council now going on 16 years.
Oh, wow.
So I know a lot about the inner workings of the council.
Yep.
I always look to the tribal council's constitution when I have questions. And I would tell everybody out there to pick up your constitution. And if you have any questions, it can answer those questions. It's not as cut and dried as most people think, that the council can just do things. They can do things to a certain point, but then there are the rules that the Secretary of Interior may come in and stop us.
Yeah.
A lot of times they keep a hands-off approach with the tribal councils because we are sovereign. Mm-hmm. We are not pseudo-sovereign, which is the rumor that's going around. We are sovereign.
Yes.
And we should be proud of that, and I am very proud of that. I'm very proud of being a part of this community. But not only that, I'm honored to be a part of this community as a Native American in this day and age.
So from 13 up, getting it from your dad, and then these past years with Chris, you got a lot of exposure then to what's going on.
Yes, I do.
So this is the first time you've ran before?
No, I ran one time years ago. And I didn't get very many votes, so I thought, you know what, maybe politics isn't my bag. And maybe today it isn't either. But there have been some things that concern me, so I decided that I would come out with them, which I'm sending you all a letter this week so that you can get a more in-depth look at what I think about different things that are happening on the reservation.
So when did you make the choice to run this time?
Oh, boy, it was 2 days before the deadline. My brother, who is Rodney Loonsfoot, and I were talking on Messenger, and he had mentioned that there was a deadline.
Hold on. Doing an interview at the moment.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
And so, I didn't really think nothing of it, but I've been in prayer I've been in prayer mode about where my life is going and how I want to lead my life. And so I was putting down my tobacco, as we do, and asking the Creator to guide me. And the whole day on Thursday, I kept getting this inkling to throw my name in for a council seat. And at first, I just brushed it off. I was sitting at the casino playing Keno, my favorite game. And it just kept coming to me. The deadline's coming up. You have to go over and put in your interest. So I did.
You listened to that.
I listened to my inner voice because I'm in prayer mode at this point. And I think that the Creator is guiding me. And I hopefully that the Keweenaw Indian community will trust me enough to carry out the different, not initiatives, but maybe look over the problems that they have and help them to resolve some of their issues.
Yeah. All right, so you mentioned that you have a letter coming out. Can you give us a little bit of a preview to that letter? What's going to be in that?
Well, it surrounds the different topics that I've been hearing about in the community. One of those topics is, would I like to see off-reservation voting? And my answer is absolutely. And the reason I want to see that is because it allows us to get the council members in to council that is of the majority of all of our members. I think it's only fair that we include all of our members, but not only in just voting, but in everything that we do. And it's possible if you do it the right way. The Constitution does constrict us, and we have to do things in a proper manner in order to get things passed. So one of the things that I would do if elected is to bring this to the council table and ask them to put this on a referendum vote so that we can proceed with the Secretary of Interior in order to get this changed. It's pretty alarming to me that after all these years, since the giveover was in 1995, that this issue still to this day hasn't been resolved.
Yeah.
And we are Anishinaabe, and what that means is that we are family. We are all family. So I take it to heart when one of my family members is hurting. And so I've tried to guide people from the Marquette district who feel like they've been disenfranchised from the community on how to do these things. But it takes work. And I've so far have only seen one person step up to try and do that work, which I'd like to applaud you, Nellie, because that's really good that you're doing these things.
You're talking about the petition she did online?
Yes.
On the
takes
KBIC
more
Tribal
than
Members page?
Online petition. She has to go and she has to knock on doors and she has to talk to people.
Yeah.
And she has to get their signatures. And what that does is it starts off with 50 signatures to address the council. And then after that, if the council decides that they don't want this, they still don't want this on the ballot, then there's an initiative that can be put forth where they would go and knock on doors again and get the 2/3 majority to sign the petition to get it on the ballot. This is a very long and tedious process. We did this in the late 90s regarding our membership, and we were successful.
Very good, and we can continue that in a bit. We are hitting our timers here. I don't want to cut you out with the camera, so we'll reset now. Okay, so we are back up and running, and you can continue your thoughts. Sorry for the interruption.
It's okay. Some of the other things that concern me is that there's a rumor going around on the reservation that we're broke, and we are not broke. I can tell you that we are not broke. But if we continue to spend the way that we do, we may go broke. And so it's a concern for me. I'm more of the person that wants to see the savings grow. I want to be able to put forth initiatives to keep our money in-house instead of paying it out. Think of it like this, a cup, okay? We have a cup. And we have all of these resources pouring into this cup. But then you've got all these different social services programs, and they're poking holes into this cup. You have all these exorbitant salaries, and they're poking bigger holes into this cup. So we're running out of the water that sustains us, our livelihood in the Keweenaw Bay Indian community, but we are not broke, and we are not close to broke. To put it in simpler terms, I would say that if I owned the resources of the Keweenaw Bay Indian community, I would be rich. So we are rich, but we need to hang on to some of these resources and not be so willing to spend them all on a whim. So we need to really think about what we're doing when it comes to economic development. I am a strong proponent of economic development, and I have ideas on how we can make more money and keep more money in our community for our 7 generations coming up, because this is our tradition. This is how we are as Native Americans. We are Anishinaabe, we are family, we are people, we are all inclusive. And so I'm running for council to try and bring back that tradition of taking care of one another.
All right, so that brings me to the KBIC Tribal Members page, which is where I made the post where people could post questions, and I'm pulling the questions from that pool. This question is from Terry Denemy. What would a 5-year strategic plan look like in your eyes, starting with year 1 through year 5?
Oh boy, that's a kind of a long question.
It is. It's a long one. We got 6.5 minutes on the time.
So first of all, I would like the question of membership taken care of. Okay, because we are members. I would like to speak to the off-reservation Native Americans and let you know that there are people here that think about your dilemma. We not only think about it, we support you in being inclusive in what we do on the reservation. Then I would like to look at the economic development of the area. For one thing, I've always thought that we need a store. I've been to many reservations throughout my work with Johns Hopkins, and not one of them doesn't have a store.
Like a grocery store?
A grocery store, a department store. In this area, it wouldn't make a lot of sense to have 2 stores, but we could be able to have a store big enough to include all of the different things that we're consistently running to Houghton and Marquette for.
Yeah.
That aren't offered here in Baraga County. And one of the biggest problems I feel that we have is there's a lot of price gouging going on in this area. And the only reason I know that is because I am traveling outside the area and I'm seeing the difference in prices. And when you're a struggling family, say you're just starting out, maybe you just had your first child and just got married, these dollars that you're making are minimum compared to what you will be making 20 years down the line. You don't have a lot of money that you can just blow and go and spend. So you have to budget carefully. And I think that we can help our members here by allowing us lower prices in things and helping our families to be more sturdy and on their feet. By allowing them that economic development, or not development, but freedom in their own budgets.
Yeah.
I also, on that point, I'd like to see more tribal members hired. And we need to utilize the talents that we have in our community to lift up our businesses. And that includes the casinos. I feel like there have been people that have been blackballed from this community because of their political beliefs. I feel like this has been pushed under the carpet and that people don't want to actually look at it. I would bring these things to the surface so that people would have to talk about them and there would be some sort of a resolution about them. We need to include everybody in our process. I know that our unemployment rate is so high, and that not only could we give them jobs, but we could train them on how to do these jobs. They're not hard. There are some jobs that, yes, you need specific education and training to do. And if you're like me, you're a self-teacher. You teach yourself how to do things. And that's what I've done in my personal life. I have some education, but I've never really leaned on the education end of my own personal growth. And I've been very successful throughout my life because I have this goal-orientated mind. And when I set my mind to do something, I will succeed because I can find those ways of doing it. My boss likens that to genius, which is why I'm still with him. I work with some of the finest minds in the world. We are developing doctors, and that is my job, is to help these doctors along in their path. And along with helping Native Americans throughout the Midwest region become healthier and happier people. One of the other things that I have on my mind is the drug abuse situation on the reservation. And I'm not talking about marijuana per se, but I am talking about crystal meth, prescription pills, cocaine, and heroin. They are here. I know they're here. So my question is, why doesn't law enforcement know that they're here? Why aren't they enforcing these laws? I found out from one of Mitch's interviews that there are no laws on the books for methamphetamine. So as a council member, I would push to get those laws before the council to pass an ordinance in order to tighten up our enforcement on the dealers and go after the dealers. I don't want them here on this reservation. They're going to ruin our children's future. So I would push to get a lot of the pressure put on the dealers, and in the process, I'm hoping that these dealers will leave our reservation and leave us alone. So those are some of the things that I'd like to work on. Another thing.
Well, hold on. I think we'll reset those timers right now. That 10 minutes goes quick, huh?
It sure does.
Okay, so were you continuing a thought, or should I want another question? Okay.
One of the things that I've noticed on this reservation, and it bothers me, and I'm hoping that even if I'm not elected to be your council representative, that some of the representatives who are elected will take the ball and run with it. So this is one of the reasons why I'm doing this interview with Mitch today, is because I would like whoever gets elected to take some of these initiatives and run with them. And I've noticed that there's a big problem with sex offenders on our reservation. There's a simple Google search that you can look at, and you can find out who they are, what their names are, and where they live. So one of the initiatives I would like to see put forth is that we put a sign in their yard, and it's an unmistakable sign that we can show our kids and say, this person is a sexual abuser. Stay away from this person. It gives us a tool to protect our children, because when a child is sexually molested or abused, that carries with them for the rest of their lives, and it will destroy them, and it makes them feel unworthy, as if they don't belong, and it can lead into drug abuse. It can lead into alcoholism. And on that point, I would like to say that I've been clean and sober for many years. I've of course had my pitfalls throughout the years, but for the last 28 years, I have not drank alcohol, because I found personally that it ruins my life. So I put it aside and I picked up my coffee cup. And in the process, my life has grown, and I've been successful in many things that I've been able to.
May I ask you if culture played a role?
Oh yes, oh yes. My mom has this little joke that she tells people, and that is that Jacqueline's been dancing way before she could walk, and that is the truth. The drums are very, very sacred, and to me, they touch an inner part of my heart and in my soul. When I'm in that arena, I am dancing for the Creator. I am dancing for our people, for their struggle. And we have struggled. We have struggled for many, many generations, and especially the ones that my grandparents come from. That generation was horrifying, and it caused a lot of historical trauma. which we are suffering from today. And I'm glad to see that the health center has a psychiatrist and a psychologist to help people through these things. But when I was growing up, I didn't have any of this. It was sort of, I had to work it out on my own in my own time. And, I didn't understand what was happening when I would get depressed. And as a teenager, I would get very depressed. And there was no reason to be depressed. I just was depressed. And I couldn't figure it out. And it was many years later that I found out that this is a physiological effect of historical trauma. I'd like to see our people heal. And not only that, to raise them up to a point that they know that none of this was their fault and none of this reflects badly upon them. I find my Native people to be very precious in my eyes. And so when I see this infighting that's going on amongst the council, I feel this very big urge to become a part of it, to try and help it. I'm a critical thinker. I'm an analytical thinker. So I have to pick things apart. It's just part of my nature. And to try and sort it out, to try and make things better. And that's one of the biggest reasons why I'm here today, is because I want people to understand that I'm not doing this for myself. I'm doing this out of service for my community. And I believe that there are a lot of people on our reservation who feel this urge to be a service to their community, but they've been blocked by certain people in the community due to their own self-interest. I don't believe that belongs here. We need to lift each other up, because sometimes people aren't looking for a handout. Sometimes they're just looking for a hand up, and we need to help them. And I think that our elders and our seniors, our elders and our children are precious assets to us. The elders in such a way that they know things that we can tap into, which we did with the language tapes. And by the way, I was the little kid that was running around in the studio when they were doing those language tapes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes.
That kind of leads me to a question here. Oh, go ahead.
Okay, no, go ahead.
Should I go to the question?
Yep.
Well, I think it goes in kind of what you're saying here. This is from Christina Wanape. What is going to be done to strengthen our Ojibwe language and culture here at KBIC?
Okay, so as I was growing up, and I'm going to be sitting at the senior lunch table next year, just so you know. As I was growing up, I took language courses that were being taught by Lynn Kettela and Cecilia Miller in Baraga High School and Baraga Junior High. And Father John also had these courses in his basement, but I've noticed that they've sort of dropped off. So I know my language to a certain extent. I'm not fluent in any way am I fluent with the Ojibwe language, because it's a very technical language and it's very difficult to learn. But if you're learning this stuff at a young age, I feel that it's going to stick with you longer, which was the case with me. Also, my grandparents were fluent Ojibwe speakers, and they would speak the language in their home even though it was taboo. And so, I went through a period of adjustment when I was around 4 or 5 years old, where I went from listening to Ojibwe all the time and then turning it into English because I had to go to school and the government was trying to assimilate me.
Yeah.
Which, to a certain point, they were successful.
Yeah.
So I'd like to see that come back and start at a young age where it's going to be retained and it's going to stick with them for the rest of their lives, like it has with me. It was successful. So I think we need to not only invest our dollars in this, we should also tap into the other tribal members who do speak the Ojibwe language to maybe teach these courses.
Very good. So, yeah, you're kind of, I guess the question kind of went with what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
and on the other end of it, when I was growing up, we actually had dance classes where we could learn how to dance in the proper manner and what the different dance techniques and the regalias represented. So we had all of these teachings, and I've seen throughout the years that they're kind of falling off, which I don't think is wise. We need to keep our identity. And we can do that through our language and through our cultural practices. One of the things that I do is I pray with my tobacco. And not only do I do this, but my family does this as well. And we smudge our home. We try to get those negative feelings and those negative vibes away from our home. And we do that in our traditional manner. I was able to teach my kids that throughout their young lives, just by doing it and showing them what I was doing. I don't know how much they remember, but I know they know how to pick up that feather and to thank the Creator for what they have. And I know that they can smudge my home, because just the other day, Brendan was smudging, and he was smudging right in my face. And I was like, whoa, whoa.
Got right in there.
Yep.
All right, so we can go back to these questions then from the community. I like this one from Christine M. Mackey. How does serving fit in with your other responsibilities?
I do have responsibilities to the tribes of the O Prevent Project. So this is where my question lies too to the Creator: is what are my next steps?
Actually, I apologize. Our timer, that one went quicker than I thought. We're going to reset these cameras.
Okay.
And I'll just re-ask that question so then you can kind of tackle it again. Okay, so I apologize. Another interruption. Let's just go back to that question again. Christina Mackey, how does serving fit in with your other responsibilities?
I do have some responsibilities, and it is to the tribes of the O Prevent Project. And right now we are looking for more Midwestern tribes to become a part of this overall project that was started in the Keweenaw Bay Indian community in 2010. In those formative years, we focused on getting together all of the materials that we would need to teach these objectives to kids in grades 2 through 6, and also the adults in the work sites and the adults in the general public, to try and facilitate change, to get people to be healthier and to lose weight, because excess weight is a detriment to all of us. And back in the day, it wasn't even a question, because we were eating a lot of non-processed foods, and they were caught right out of the wild. My grandparents had a garden. There are a lot of things that O Prevent teaches, and it's an important project. But I have come to a point in my life where I'm asking the Creator to guide me. And like I said, I've been sort of guided into this chair today. And I'm offering my time and my energy to the Keweenaw Bay Indian community, because you mean so much to me personally, in my heart. I have become this close to you through my family, just growing up here on the reservation and watching the struggles of the people here. So I'm offering you my assistance through the Tribal Council. At this point in time with my project, I am able to be home 1 weekday out of the week, and then I am working in other communities in Wisconsin at this time. But I'm also looking for a replacement for me in Indian country to do this job. And it's not, the pay is great. The team that I work with is a wonderful team. But I miss home. I miss being here with my family. I especially miss my grandson. I'm missing out on a lot of his stages. And as a grandmother that I've waited to be for many, many generations, it saddens me that I can't be with him as much. So I'm looking for my way home. But my job is important. So I'm looking for someone to take that over for me.
Okay.
Hopefully somebody in their 30s.
Okay, so then let's go to some of these questions then. I want to break down some of the business stuff. I've been asking people what their opinion is on the casino projects.
Okay. Well, I didn't vote for the casino projects. And the reason I didn't is because I didn't like the idea of spending all that money. I was afraid that we would go broke, but we haven't. I can assure you we haven't. I took a look at the Marquette Casino and how it was developing it, and I'm pretty impressed. One of the things that I don't agree with this casino project is that instead of a hotel venue, we have decided to do an entertainment venue. And being the entertainment director for Lac-View Desert and the marketing director for the Ojibwa casinos, I can tell you that we won't make as much money because we won't be able to house people. And a lot of time people, when they're gambling, they like to drink. And so this is why I think that a hotel would have been better, because we could house those people overnight and then bring them back into the casino the next day, or maybe a week-long stay, or whatever it is that what have you. So I know there are some high rollers out there because that was my job to know that.
Yeah.
And those are the people that we're trying to attract. We're trying to get people in there that are going to spend money, and lots of money. And we have those. And we're lucky because they haven't left us. We have a steady income, but that has plateaued in the casinos. And so we are looking to expand our business interest with the marijuana growth. I don't have a problem with marijuana simply because it was given to us by the Creator. It's a plant, and I'm all for plants, I think that it's going to be the next cash cow. I have to agree with the council on this one. I think that it's already a big cash cow in Colorado. I think it's $1 billion industry in Colorado, if not more right now. So we have to tap into that, and we are right there at the precipice of this marijuana growth operation. So I wish Gary luck with what he's doing on the avenue of marijuana. I believe that it's going to help us to put out bigger Christmas checks, because as always, I have this idea that since they are technically cigarettes, they should be put out to the profits should be put out to the membership, and we should include all of our members, all 3,500 plus you. Of course, we would have to think about the children and putting trust funds together for them, like, for instance, Lac-View Desert does for their youth. So, there are all these technical things that we have to figure out, but together I think that will come to a very good and profitable way of doing that for all of our members, to lift them up, to allow them to do things in their lives that they want to do and that they know they can do, and give them that helping hand monetarily, and by structuring our council to be open-minded and to be accepting of these changes that are coming up. And I'm all for change. I've always been for change because there are certain cliques on the council that sit there now. And you'll recognize them because they'll be on a billboard saying, oh, vote for these four. I don't agree with it. And simply because it's almost like they're ganging up on us. I also think that we need new blood on the council. These people that continue to come back and say, here, I'm the best choice. Obviously, we didn't reelect you. So we're thinking that maybe you're not the best choice, and there could be a better choice. And that's where I'm at. I'm saying, if you don't elect me, Keweenaw Bay Indian community, elect someone new. The infighting has got to stop. There are some really good council members, and I'm going to tell you that in my heart, I believe that Chris Swartz is a very good leader, and on many levels. I'm not here to promote my husband, but
you got to give a shout out.
I got to shout out to my husband. Yes, he's a very good leader, and he's very articulate, and he gets his point across.
Yep, I've interviewed him a couple times.
Yep.
So the next thing would be, what other businesses do you see viable for the tribe?
Well, I talked about the store. And these are some ideas that I've been floating around in my head for years. I would like to see an insurance company come up where we own our own insurance, and we're bringing those dollars in because we pay enormous amounts of money to insure our people. I'd also like to see a bank I'd like us to bank our own money because we can draw money on our own interest. Isn't that something?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a new concept. It's just something we haven't done yet. And I think that we should do that. And I'm not talking about exorbitant interest fees on loans that we put out there either. I'm talking about being a fair-minded, straightforward bank with our community members always in mind, just like the Bexar County Federal Credit Union. Another shout out. Thank you very much for helping me through my lifetime because you have done that.
All right, very good. We're hitting those timers. We're going to reset again. Okay, did you have any more to add to viable business options for the tribe?
Yes. I don't know if this is a viable business opportunity, but it could be if it's run correctly. But I would like to see us open a senior care facility, and that is to include senior housing, or to expand senior housing and include this as a part of it, and that is so that they have all of their needs taken care of in their end of life term, so that they don't have to worry. And we have people there on staff that can help them get to a doctor appointment, who can help them with their shopping. I mean, there are certain things we could have people there helping them clean their apartments and helping them if they are unable to bathe, to take care of themselves so that they're happier people. Our elders are one of our biggest resources because they've been there. They know about many things that younger people don't know, and so it's a resource that we need to tap into and to listen to them. I loved when we had our senior council many years ago when Loretta would get these meetings together. I think that it allows us to respect our seniors in such a way that they appreciate it, that they're being heard, that their objectives are actually coming to fruition. So yes, I'm all for helping the seniors in every way possible until they pass on to the next realm. Also, our kids, we have to support them all the way through adulthood, which is one of the things that we don't do because we don't have our own school. They're never going to learn where we are from, who we really are, unless we teach them, which means putting up a curriculum for them. And one of the things that I do know is writing a curriculum. Since I've been a part of the Prevent Project, I've learned a lot of things. But our kids are our future. They're the ones that are going to take care of me when I can no longer walk, or I can no longer go out and shop for myself, or maybe I'm 98 years old and I can't get into the tub by myself. These people are the ones that are going to be looking out for me. So we need to treat them with much respect and the honor that they deserve as our kids growing up in our community.
Okay. You went over a lot, and I think I covered a lot of my bullet points, so this would be that opportunity now. If there's anything else that I didn't talk about or something you want to talk about.
Okay. Back to the infighting. We need to take care of each other. I'm very disheartened, and it really hurts me to see my council members fighting amongst themselves because of their own self-interest. So that's why I'm here. One of the reasons I'm here is to ask you, the Keweenaw Indian community, to elect new council members. Not ones that are fending for their own seats like Rodney, because he's a good council member too, and he's my brother, so I'm a little bit prejudiced on that. But you need new council members. You don't need these ones that keep coming into your face and saying, elect me. Why? You haven't shown me anything more than what you've done. And obviously, it hasn't gotten us anywhere closer to any of these goals that I've set forth for you today. So if you don't elect me, it's fine. I'm a person that follows the Creator's lead. It's fine. But please consider electing someone else, someone new. Miigwech, Keweenaw Indian community. Miigwech, Mitch, for having me today. I appreciate every one of you, and I would very much love to serve on this council.
Thank you.
You're welcome.